Hey guys, welcome back, and just a quick video on my lonesome today, just doing the review for on the weekend's games. And I thought in the lead up to the grand final, obviously can't forget about two semi-finals games that were fantastic to watch, both for different reasons. Start off with South Sydney versus the Manly Sea Eagles, and for mine, South just dominated this one from start to finish. We're a class above. There was question marks for Manly going into this about not being able to beat a top four side, and unfortunately that was still the case. They weren't able to do it when it was needed to be done, and it just sort of, I guess in a way, made you think that those doubters, they were definitely right, and there's some definite issues there for that for Manly for next year about getting just to that next level. Massive effort, amazing effort to get to where they did after being almost wooden spoon favourites after a month of footy this year. But for mine, if they want to get to that next level, they can't be so reliant on Tommy Turbo. Tommy Turbo was kept quiet for the second week in a row, and sorry, not the second week in a row, but second time in this final series. And for Manly don't have anything once he's kept quiet. They need to have a plan B. You can't rely solely on one player, and there was just so many areas from the Manly side. South Sydney defended amazingly. I know there's been a lot of talk about South Sydney's attack, and rightly so. Their left edge is just ridiculous. I keep saying it, best in the game for sure. But their defense the last month or so has just turned up, and it is really why, for mine, they're probably they should be the premiership favourites. Their defense is just next level. No one can break him at all. So for mine, it was a great game to watch, just in terms of the fact that South Sydney basically put the comp on notice. This was before the second game, where everyone was sort of saying whoever wins out of Storm and Penrith will win the comp. But I think this just shows South Sydney are right in this, and they're not favourites, but for mine, they probably deserve to be. The other incident I want to touch on this game, which for mine was really eye-opening, and I mean, last weekend we had the incident with the Penrith trainer stopping the game. He wasn't even on the field yet, for a player that was out of the play, nowhere near the play, hurt his ankle, and the play was stopped straight away. Parramatta couldn't even get a tackle into it. So Kappy was out cold. He was stumbling around, and it was really, really worrying signs to see him that way and how he looked. But what happened? We just had the game continue on, and there was no play stopped. He was in a really bad way. He was. The game's supposed to be caring about these players. That's an incident right there where game needs to be stopped. And the fact that Klein, again, the referee involved, can see what was happening. He was standing 5 metres away from Kappy and kept the game going is absolutely disgraceful. It can't be excused. There shouldn't be any excuses as to why that happened. Kappy, the game should have been stopped. Kappy's taken straight from the field. He's saying they're all about player welfare. Well, I'm here to say otherwise. I'm here to say that that's not happening at the moment. There is no player welfare when it comes to these sorts of things, and it was just a really ugly look, and that's a week out from the grand final. That some of these things that continue to happen, it just boggles the mind, really. Storm and Panthers the next game, and absolute cracker for many. It should have been the grand final, or what people were predicting from several months out from the actual day. And the Panthers did a storm on Melbourne, and Melbourne were, for the first time in a long time, they had no answers at all. And it was sort of like the more they tried, and the more they tried to get themselves into the game, the worse they got. Which for Melbourne Storm, I know they lost a couple of players early, which did hurt them, but that doesn't happen with Melbourne. The more they try, the more they get into the rhythm of things, the easier it gets for Melbourne, typically, and that didn't happen. Penrith scrambled defence. I know there's all this talk about their missed tackles, and that is a worry, don't get me wrong, but their scramble for it was ridiculous, and it's the reason why they're there where they are, because yeah, Storm bombed probably a easy try for Jennings at the start, which probably changed the game. They would have got an early try and confidence and things like that, but it didn't happen. But it was the Panthers' defense, their rushing defense. It was really, really good all night long and all day long, I should say. And it was great to watch. I think for me, for the Storm, Munster hasn't been his best year, but this typified his season. He was really off. It was like the whole club, the whole team was looking at him to help. Hughes for mine stepped up. He was the main chief playmaker. Munster just, it has to be said, he was horrible. He was really, really bad, and I thought that was one of the worst games I've seen Munster play in years, and he saved it for the big stage, and it sort of typified the Storm game, unfortunately for Storm fans. But another couple of incidents to quickly touch on in this one would be, first of all, the Cameron Walsh incident, and I don't know. Oh, sorry, not the Christian Welsh incident, and I don't know why I have Cameron Walsh in my head. Sorry, guys, but Christian Welsh staying on the field for about 8 minutes. It ended up being, when we could see clear as day, he should have gone off straight away. The HIA should have been pulled. He should have been off. Yet he's playing again. I talk about player welfare. It is not happening. The NRL is trying to tell us and sell us his dream about their all for the players. I'm sorry to say, I'm calling absolute BS on it because it's not happening. And then I want to talk about the fact that Brandon Smith then, a few minutes later, clearly injures his shoulder. His shoulder was clearly the thing that was worrying him, and he kept doing it for another about 5 minutes or so. They ended up pulling him from the field. But what happened was they used the HIA card, and he ended up going off for a free interchange. Then they get another free interchange back once they're taking him off and bringing him back on from another player, and they're getting 2 free interchanges. It's an absolute joke where this whole thing is getting to, and it was my worry as soon as they did this with the HIA, it was going to get exploited. Now, I'm not going to sit here and criticise the game. This, I want to criticise the clubs, because the club's taken advantage of this, and I know people have been critical of the Storm in the past for other reasons, for doing these sorts of things, but the proof's there. The proof's there in the pudding is that they've done it again. It was clear as day why he was going off. He was not knocked out. He didn't have any head knocks, yet that's what was ruled. And that's 2 free interchanges where, really, for Penrith, unfortunately, they've lost 2 players to Storm. That should be the Penrith's leg up. Instead, they can do some quick couple of rotations and interchanges to Storm and freshen up and stay fresh, because there was multiple times in that game they were out on their feet. They needed to have some big breaks in there, needed to manage the game properly to get a result, and that failed to do so. The last little point on this one was the Cleary incident. I don't know if many picked up on this one, but I think it was about 15 minutes from the time. He was knocked out. He was stumbling, getting up from a tackle. What happens? Again, he stays on the field. I don't get it. I keep saying it, I don't want to harp on it this video, but this is the biggest off-season the NRL's ever had for mine, because there is so much happening. So many things are getting exploited and not officiated properly. The referees have been disgraceful this year. The coaches and clubs are just taking advantage of anything they can. The NRL isn't coming back and going properly and going down on the teams that they should be in the clubs. So, massive off-season. But look, it is grand final week, guys. Matt, 2 great games to get us into this grand final. It's been a great final series. Really, really enjoyed it, apart from the fact my team was knocked out. But grand final week, we're going to have our grand final video Thursday night. So, we'll do some questions as well. So, get your questions through shortly. But thanks for the support. Loving it. And enjoy the grand final week and all the build-up.